Hello and welcome to the show. This is Everything Under the Sun. My name is Ty. Hope all of you are doing fantastic out there. I'm not sure if any of you caught it, but I did my first video on Instagram, and that was kind of a big deal for me. I mean, I'm not really, I guess you could say I'm camera shy. Even when I take photos, like I'm not really a fan of being in the photo myself. People always ask me like, hey, do you want me to take a photo of you like in this scenery or whatever it is? I'm usually like, no, I think it looks better without me in it. And it's not necessarily I think I look bad or anything like that. I just think that, I've just always had that kind of weird energy when just being in front of a camera. So that was something that was kind of new, and it was prompted by, I think, well, it's prompted by a few different things, actually. There was, just like this motivation within myself to kind of start shifting in a different direction. And I watched this video from Tabitha Brown. And I'm not sure if many of you know her, but she posts videos of just like plant-based meals and things like that. But she also kind of just speaks her mind about different things. And one of the things that she brought up was just this idea, well, was asking like why she was on social media. And she was kind of answering that question. And it went into just this bigger idea of just how we move throughout our lives. At least that's the way I took it. And it's just like, we move through our lives in so many different ways. And I think a lot of times we don't really put a focus on what we're moving towards or what we're doing, or even the realization that we are enough, And I think that just looking out into the world and seeing so many different people doing things, so many different social media influencers or influencers in different respects, living lives, like living their lives, and kind of people wanting to mimic that, or feeling as though if they don't have that, then it's not good enough to kind of put out there. And what she was basically saying was that, like, just because you haven't seen it doesn't mean it's not something that's valuable, and something that I firmly believe is that our uniqueness is something that it creates immense value in this world, and it allows everyone to bring something to the table. So in that valuing yourself, it was something I kind of had to, take my own words and kind of think about this. I'm like, this is something I fully believe, and I'm 100% supportive of this, yet I haven't been doing this myself. And I think this is something that we can all catch ourselves in, kind of giving advice to friends or, giving advice to other people, but reflecting on our own, actions and realizing that maybe we haven't been actually living by our own words. So that was my first step towards kind of moving towards that direction of kind of putting myself out there more and being okay with just being myself. And I think that's something that's so big with all of this that's happening. And as we change, which is inevitable, we have to allow ourselves, that compassion, that love for ourselves, to allow ourselves through that next step in life, through that next journey in life, and whatever obstacle that may be, we can reassure ourselves that we are okay and that we are enough to get through that. And I think that's something that's so powerful, and something that we can instantly start manifesting in our lives just by changing that one mindset within ourselves of just, am I enough? Is my presence enough? Is my uniqueness something that is going to be valued? And answer yes to all of those questions, because it's the truth, and there's no scale to go off of, no basis to kind of say like you can prove like you're right if you reach these milestones. Like all of your goals, all of your actions, all the things that you want for yourself, those milestones are based on you and your specific wants and your direction. So keep up with what you're doing, and also remember to kind of have fun with yourself. I put myself on like a pretty strict schedule, like from 6 a.m. to basically until I go to sleep, like literally scheduling out all of my time. And it's something that I haven't always done before, because I usually hate schedules, but it's allowed me so much more efficiency, adding in like different things in my day, like reading and meditating and writing, and kind of just doing a lot more things that I want to do with myself. But it also adds that pressure on me where it's like, I feel kind of, intimidated about it, or I kind of feel like maybe sometimes it's just like a lot of energy going towards it. But if we allow ourselves that compassion, if we allow ourselves to have fun with ourselves while we go through this transition, as we start changing our lives in the direction that we want to see, then we can really just start having fun with ourselves. And, I was supposed to be doing like a morning stretch, and I started doing a stretch, but instead of doing the stretch, I kind of like popped out of it and then started doing like this crazy dance number to In the Dark or In the Night by The Weeknd. I'm not sure if any of you know that song, but it's I don't know if you have any of those situations where you kind of you listen to a song and then like everything just kind of becomes a movie, and you kind of just like run around and everything is a prop, and you're just like kind of like singing and dancing and doing all this like crazy stuff, or maybe that's just me, I don't know, but that's what happened in that situation. It was like 6:30 in the morning, and I'm just like blasting the song and like dancing around, but it was something that got my blood moving. It made me laugh at myself and kind of made this something like, again, like this process of just being so scheduled, it made it a little bit easier, and it made it a little more like just fun. A lot of myself, I put more of myself into this process, and that's what made it easier. So put yourself into the things that you love, and even if it gets hard, you're with yourself. So add some things in that make you laugh, add some things in that make you smile, add some things in that make that experience a little easier for you, make your journey a little easier for you as you go through it. So this was a lot bigger or longer of an introduction than I expected, but that happens sometimes. But anyway, I'm going to get to the box drawing. Today's topic is community, which I think is going to be an amazing topic. Again, if you want to send any topics or any ideas or thoughts or anything to this podcast, you can send those to everything.sunpodcast@gmail.com or at any of the Instagram, at any of the social media pages that I will link at the end of this. So anyway, this week is community, and we're going to figure out the topic for next week. Again, thank you so much for all these topics. They're truly, truly amazing, and I love each and every one of them. So the topic for next week is going to be time. And, I just spoke about time management and just how I've been scheduling my day, but time is something, it's a tricky one. Sometimes we can find ourselves, feeling as though it's going fast, or sometimes going slow, or just, the feeling that we don't have enough of it. So time, that's going to be an amazing topic for next week. And this week is community. And, as I think about community, obviously the first thing that came to mind was this podcast, because I wanted to base this podcast around the idea of creating community. And, like in the social media pages, it says we create community through conversation. And I think that that's something so true, where it's like we can create a community just about having the conversations with one another. Having these, speaking about these difficult topics, sharing these experiences that we all kind of feel in some ways, but maybe are unique to each and every one of us. But we can still come together with that. We can come together through that commonality rather than the differences. And something that, I guess just like breaking down this idea of community, the definition of community is essentially this: a group of individuals that are coming together around a common idea or belief. And I mean, there are tons of different explanations or definitions for community, but that's kind of like the general term. And this idea of commonality is something that comes pretty common with all these different definitions of community. It's just like this idea of coming together around some kind of commonality, whether it's living close near to each other, or having the same interests, having the same beliefs, or having the same, desires or goals, or whatever that may be. And of course, that's amazing. We create communities out of that. But the piece that's missing out of that is that there are other people that believe opposite things as we do. There are people that are striving for different things than we're striving for. And does that mean that we have to disconnect them from our community? And that's really the biggest thing, is because, as we think about communities, of course it can be something that is accepting and brings people together. But what about the people that feel as though they don't fit in that circle? They don't fit within that area of that community. As humans, we share one community, like a human community. We share this experience of just being alive and being human, and all the things that come along with that. We have different views, but just because we have views that are different from someone else doesn't mean that we can't come together as a community around that. More often than not, there are so many individuals that feel as though they don't belong in a certain place, even within the community that they're living in. And that's the community that most of us know. Like as far as me growing up, when I first heard the word community, thinking about like community projects, community service, community events, like all these different things community-wise, it was all local. It was all stuff that was just nearby. If you wanted to do some like community service somewhere, like you wouldn't go to like Bangladesh or something to start doing community service unless you lived there. It's like people automatically associate community as being something that's local, but as we localize just that idea of community, we're also minimizing that idea of community. Now, don't get me wrong, like local communities are amazing and they're perfect and they're great because they are right there for you. They're right around you and they're there to support you in the things that you want to achieve and the life that you want to start growing for yourself. But as we start thinking about community and realizing the benefits that community can bring for us, the support, the love, the connection, the new ideas, the inspiration, the different things that people and other people within that community can bring to you, once we realize the value of that, we can start expanding our community. because us as people, we start expanding, we change all the time. We grow new interests, and those interests may start to move outside of the people that we surround ourselves with, outside of the people that live within our immediate community. And something that is an amazing benefit of the time that we live in right now is that technology is something that is just allowing everyone to connect so much more meaningfully. And I mean, like, I guess the meaningfulness of that connection is something that has to be done within like that interaction, but there are meaningful connections that are happening all the time within people that are, in different places that speak different languages and that are coming together under all these commonalities that are outside of language and time and experience and just coming together as people. And I think that that is something that is so amazing and something that we have the opportunity to do. But we have to define our community, and we have to define it in the terms that allows expansion. It's kind of like you don't want to limit yourself in any kind of capacity. Think about it in terms of someone asking you what you want to do in life. If they gave you options, of course that may be decent. Maybe you like to choose out of options, but not having options, or they say, like you can choose out of these options or you can choose anything else. The option to choose anything else, that is something that most people will choose, and that's like, I guess, something that you really did love was in that like list of 2 options or whatever else that they gave you. But the thing is, naturally, we want as many different areas available to us as possible, as many options that we can start making choices out of as possible. As humans, we just naturally like having choices. We like having different things, and it's like having those options is something that allows us to have a greater experience, allows us to understand ourselves more, in our community more, in our world more, and I think that as we open up our idea of just community, we can start to realize that there are people that are in different parts of the world that we may not even realize can add so much value on the journey that we're on, can add so much value to who we are, and who maybe we can add value to their lives. As we expand our community and our idea of community and the people that we're surrounding ourselves with or connecting with, we are also expanding just, ourselves. We're elevating ourselves, and we're elevating those people that we are also coming into contact with. So when thinking about why creating this community, or why to expand this idea of community to something that's so much bigger than just the people around you, it's for yourself. Like, you develop more as a person because of it. And something I thought was interesting, I was listening to this TED Talk, and it was this woman kind of speaking about her idea of community. And I thought was something really amazing, but there was a specific idea that she had brought up about just how the root word of community is commune, and how to commune means to share ideas and beliefs, essentially. And within that, like if we're saying commune is the root of community, to share ideas and beliefs, that doesn't mean share the same ideas and the same beliefs, even though that's commonly how we start communities, like those shared beliefs and those shared things that we have this common ground on. And again, that's not a bad thing. But when we limit ourselves to that, we're limiting ourselves to other ideas and other beliefs. And as I spoke about in the last episode about religion, just because we hear someone else's beliefs or ideas doesn't mean we have to change our own. Doesn't mean that our own beliefs are going to stand on rocky ground or unsteady ground. I mean, if you feel as though that's the case, then maybe that will be the case for you. But I think if you have, compassion and true belief in the things that you feel, then those conversations won't be anything that harms you in any kind of way or limits your beliefs in any kind of way. If anything, it will expand your understanding and even just allow you to realize that there are other people in the world that may believe the exact opposite as you, and that's okay. That you can come together on different things. You can come together over different commonalities. And I think that's where that human aspect comes in. Because despite all of our ideas and all of our beliefs, we're still human. And as I broke it down last episode, love, connection, understanding, these are the bases of things that we are trying to strive for as humans. And I think that as we kind of look at that and realize like that is behind all these things that we're doing, all the things that we create, all the things that we pray about and meditate about, and the things that we try to read and understand more about, the ways that we try to live our lives. These are trying to create understanding, create more meaning, create, some kind of greater understanding in just this entire experience. And I think as we value that part of humanity. We can have these conversations and we can build these communities around these conversations that may be difficult to have, but we can still come together and realize that we have these different beliefs and they make us amazing. And as people, we can share these ideas and we can share these beliefs and grow together. Grow into the people that we want to be, grow into the place that we want to be in. So as we kind of think about this idea of community and creating it for ourselves, building it for ourselves and evolving it, letting it be something that's constantly evolving and changing. As we think about this idea of community, the first thing that we have to do is realize that we want it. First off, all those values and amazing things within community, there are people that will tell us that they love you. They will say that, they care about you, that you're an amazing person. But unless you believe that in yourself, unless you realize that, yes, like this is something that I want, this is something that I value, then it's not gonna mean anything to you. So realize the meaning that community has for you. Realize the value that community has for you, and if you want that in your life, if you want that value in your life. So realize it first, because there's no way that we can actually gain the benefits from these amazing things around us, from this amazing community around us, unless we realize that we want it. And the next thing is, we have to realize that the conversations that we have are what builds this community. So don't be afraid to have those conversations, not just because like you feel as though someone's going to oppose your thoughts. Like, have those conversations more. I love being challenged in conversations. I love when there's someone that has an opposing thought for me, and when I don't have someone that has an opposing thought for me, like, I like to create that opposing thought, because, with every thought that I have, I like to realize that there's someone that thinks the exact opposite. Everything I'm saying right now, there's someone that thinks the exact opposite, that says, no, that's completely wrong. You're not making any sense, and I think that with everything that we think, there's always going to be someone that believes the exact opposite. But if we stop conversation there, if we stop connection there, then we're just going to keep distancing ourselves from the people around us. We have to keep having those conversations despite those differences. I mean, that's how we create community, and that's how we create better understanding. That's how humans have gotten to this point now. Humans are community-based individuals. We're social-based individuals. We've always been around each other. If it wasn't for supporting each other and helping each other survive, then we would be extinct by now. It's within us to connect and to be with one another and to connect on those foundational things, the things that help us to survive and live and grow in this world. Those are the things that we're basing this community out of. And all the other boxes that we place ourselves in that keep us locked in and keep us from connecting, those things they're distancing us. They're not allowing us to grow to our full potential. So build your community by allowing those conversations to happen. And be willing to share in those conversations as well, because those things, you have no idea, the ideas and thoughts and feelings that you have may be something that resonates so closely with someone else. And you can change their life radically by having those conversations. And the last thing about this idea of community is that idea of the other. Just removing that idea of the other. There's so many people that feel left out. Maybe there's a moment in your life that you felt left out, whether it's left out in a conversation, maybe there's left out within, feelings within a relationship or something like that. There are so many times people feel left out in all different walks of life and all different areas of life, and it doesn't feel good. Removing that idea of the other accepts people in. It allows people to say, I feel welcome coming into this community. I feel welcome having this conversation and speaking my mind and being who I am. Removing that idea of the other helps to remove that ostracization of other people. We're not casting them out. We're not casting them aside. We're welcoming people in and listening to what they have to say. Because again, everyone has something to bring to the table. And you may not realize how valuable that something is until you allow that person at the table. So thinking about this idea, there are so many ways in which we can create community and build community, but we have to recognize it and we have to allow it to happen. We have to allow it to be something that we want to manifest in our lives and we want to have in our lives. We have to recognize the value of it. Otherwise, we can gain no value from it. These are all things that are within the very essence of things that we've already done before. You've created community many times before, within friends, within family, within just different walks of life that you've had, Maybe you were a leader in a group project at school. Maybe you organized a group or something I don't know, we've created community in so many different aspects of our life. So it's something that it's innate within us. As I've said, like, humans are naturally social creatures. So just go with that feeling that you have within yourself. That feeling that wants you to say hello to someone. That feeling that says, like, I'm intrigued by this idea, and not feel intimidated by the fact that other people think differently, because people think differently. So once we accept that and realize that, then we can come to other people and have this conversation and accept the differences while still believing in our own, or maybe growing in our own understanding. So that's really all I have for this idea of community. I feel like there are so many conversations that are had about it. There are so many thoughts and stuff around community already. And I just wanted to bring this other aspect of it, of just, expanding our idea of community to something that can really grow with us. Because as we change, as we grow, our community and the people around us are also going to change and grow. So allowing that change to happen and valuing it and recognizing it is something that can be so essential to just our lives and the lives of the other people that we connect through these communities. So again, that's all I have. If you have any thoughts or ideas or comments or anything that you'd like to share, you can send those to everything.sunpodcast@gmail.com. You can join any of the social media pages: Instagram, everything.sunpodcast, Twitter @everysunpodcast, or the Facebook group Everything Under the Sun with Ty. And yeah, that's really it. Rate, review, subscribe. That helps so much. That helps to build this community into something. I'm not really sure how you rate or review these things, but I guess it depends on like whatever platform you're using. But share that conversation. I say that many times again. If you don't share this podcast, at least share the conversation. These topics are something that allows us to grow as people and just understand ourselves better. So that's all I got. I hope you all enjoy the rest of your week. I love you all, and I will see you next time.